Hello, I'm Paul Nacy from FunTowardsGamer.com.
And I'm Scott Gates of the Comic Station.
Welcome to issue number 28 for the Comic Station for July 10th, 2013. For the new releases for July 10th, we have a number of number ones coming up, but we're going to start off with Quantum and Woody number 1 from Valiant. This is following Valiant's kind of stint. They have what is kind of wannabe heroes. Since they were kids, Woody and Nick are the two kind of brothers that always exhibited the feeling of right versus wrong, but they always made a mess of it. They always jumped in, and they had a very dynamic, different personalities. Nick is much more uptight. He, later when he grows up, joins the military, where Woody is definitely not. He grows up to be a pickpocket, a philanderer, a little this and a little of that. And what ties them together is family. So when their father is obviously murdered and an investigation begins, they're actually believed to be suspects. This tips them off. They start working together and start trying to unravel this mystery. And it turns out the father was working on some top secret little energy projects, and you could tell basically this heads down the road of they end up getting kind of like a Spider-Man kind of, oh no, he got bit, like powers, and somehow they end up getting it. What is interesting about this issue as a number 1 issue is it starts off with them having powers and making a mess of things, and then it flashbacks and then picks you up to before they were together again, because they got kind of grew apart until their father's death brings them back together again. And it leaves off with just after the explosion, which you are assuming leaves them with some sort of powers, but you don't know what the powers are, you don't know what situations or anything like that. All you know is they've been in this mess, they're trying to figure out who killed their father, you don't know why they did that, and they are the number 1 suspects, and it leaves off with them getting pretty much arrested. So it's very interesting, it's very funny, it goes off a lot more of the butting heads and situational comedy of the two getting along, as well as a lot of arguments. So it's an interesting start here. There's some potential, but I'm interested to see how it continues down the line.
I've been impressed with Valiant this year with the restart on all their product line. They've been really good. And I will read it just because everything I've read by them, I've been impressed by it.
The artwork's great.
Yeah, and to top it all off, anytime you can have a cover that has a goat on it, you gotta read it.
I have no idea what the goat has to do with this. It wasn't even in this issue.
Doesn't even matter. Gotta read it.
But the marketing that they did with the stuff out to the press, all it was about the goat. So I want to know about the goat.
Yep, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes. Going off the deep end here, we are looking at Ballistic number 1 from Black Mask. This is a smaller publisher, very smaller publisher, and honestly, best way to describe this is a messed up, using a very nice word instead of a word that begins with an F, messed up world where basically everything is kind of a biological living being. Criminals run this city, and Butch is the air conditioning guy. That's all he ever was, that's all he'll ever really be. But he dreams of being something bigger, a member of the gang, a member of the mob. And really a lot of the humor and everything goes on this takes the quirky and vulgar route. It is pretty funny, and there's even one scene, an example for a boss, where you have a stats page of what he's wearing, who he's wearing, what kind of, he gets +10 for his violence, kind of thing. And actually, one thing, and I hate to compare it to one thing versus another, but it really did remind me of, if anybody knows the video games, is Suda51's Shadows of the Damned. Very reminds me of that, not just because it looks like they are in the realm of the damned, but he has a talking gun, it interfaces with them. It wisecracks to him. It's probably his worst critic, and he made it. So it's kind of, that's pretty funny. Again, vulgar, and it is. The best line I have for it is, "It's an acid trip starring a wannabe robber," and he just seems to want to do it, but he messes up. And there is an acid trip within the acid trip, which is really messed up.
Well, sounds interesting. You got my, I mean, you piqued my interest, so I'll check that one out tomorrow.
Acid trip inside of an acid trip. Okay. The next one we have here is Image is going on a run of number ones.
No shock there.
Yeah, but they put out 3 this week. We're gonna go over 2. I'll leave the other one up to Lito to hopefully do a review for. But the first one of Image's number ones this week is Sheltered, a pre-apocalyptic tale. As you can tell with this is not apocalypse. This is before it, and this kind of centers on what you gather is a group of doomsday survivalists. They're not cultists, but they're survivalists. They've set up a group fenced off. They have bunkers, so forth. First off, beautiful artwork. I really enjoyed the artwork in this. It starts off very slice of life. Very, okay, we're living, getting the groceries, we're stocking up, we need to build this, and we need to reinforce the fence, so forth. And then, basically it ends in a bloody massacre. And you don't, and the quote-unquote doomsday is starting. But you don't know, is it real or is it not? So this can go off in one direction, or go off in a completely different direction, and I like it for that. It can go realistic, where the 2000, the clocks and everything were going to set off there and never happened, or it can go whole Walking Dead, where it actually does happen. So it's, the range of it is very interesting to me.
Well, I mean, it's number one Image. Rush to your store and get them, because I'm sure we'll sell out of it. And you know, Image is starting to get up too far ahead of me. I can't keep up with all the number ones.
Yeah, they're kind of, I would say normally they're shotgunning it and throwing stuff against the wall and see what sticks, but so much of it sticks that they're just kind of wallpapering.
Yeah, they're putting out quality products. I'll give them that. It's just one right after the other.
And in such an environment, you can only pick so many.
Exactly.
Well, one of your choices this week is also from Image Comics, Ghosted number 1, and this, as you can judge from the cover, is a lot more Ocean's 11, and I got that vibe immediately. It's very well done. I love the style on here, and it starts off Jackson Winter is in prison for something. You find out later that he was basically a robber, and he was one of the best. But something happened on his last job that has scarred him, and in all honesty, he's kind of looking forward to dying. He even says it himself. But it's done in such an artwork that it's beautiful, that it's not morbid, it's just a matter of fact. That's the way prison is. But he gets broken out by a rich guy that wants to use him to steal a ghost.
Nice. He's
not really given much option, so what does he do? Ocean 11 style, he puts the team together, and they maybe more than they bargained for, and the supernatural, the one person that is put on the team, might be more than she seems, and there's a great mystery to it. I'm interested to see the mystery of that part, and again, I love the style. So.
It's hard, I mean, once again, I mean, until I actually get a chance to read them, it's hard to comment, other than, once again, it's a number one from Image, so it's going to fly off the shelves.
I mean, it's a little hard for me to say you should get this and you should get that, when, in all honesty, I read so much of it, and I get the luxury of being able to read some before, so I can build up a barrier a little bit. But these are both really good images. Again, there's so much more coming out this week that we couldn't cover it all, but I wanted to quickly mention Image Comics has another issue out. It is a one-shot. It's Joseph Michael Linsler's Dawn, the Swordmaster's Daughter, and other stories. You said that this is...
It's been around for a long time. That's his bread and butter. Doesn't do much else. Every so often he pumps something out. Yeah, he's a great artist. He writes and draws everything.
I'm looking forward to reading this, but again, I'm going to leave this up to Lito. Hopefully he'll be able to do a review for us. George R.R. Martin's Skin Trade, just because his name is attached to it, might be interesting. Looks a little on the mystery side with a...
It will be bloody. It's from Avatar.
It is, yes, Avatar is beautiful for that. Big Dog Inc., again, we went over on the Philadelphia Comic-Con. Love their artwork. This is a offshoot of their Critter world. This is the In Crowd, #1, and it's basically a group of superheroes that are in they are the reality TV show. They are heroes, but they are followed around, and it's, are they really heroes, or are they just playing heroes while still having superpowers? So, and honestly, this cover really grabbed me. Is the Unforgivable Experiment 1134 #1 from Brainchild Comics? Very small publisher.
Very
again.
small publisher.
So little. I've never seen that symbol before, but the artwork looks great on it.
Yeah, the cover will catch your eye.
So I'm interested to see if the insides will continue on this, and hopefully again we'll have a review up. But since we had so many #1s, I wanted to highlight a number of them.
Absolutely.
All right, up next is our review and recommendation. For review this week, we're actually going to get a little ahead of ourselves. This comic is not coming out until next week, but I want to do a little highlight, give people a little warning before stuff comes out. So I'm going to try to get reviews out early whenever possible. This review is on Dark Horse Comics' Blood Brothers #1. Again, it comes out next week. It starts off strong. It has a really nice mystery and mysticism happening in a British museum, but then it jumps. The main story takes place in Las Vegas. Perfect setting for the city built on lies, deception, and bleeding you dry. So, right there it's fun. You get the two brothers. Again, they're kind of mismatched. It's a lot of the humor and everything happening is the butting heads of the two brothers. It soon loses itself in this dynamic, honestly. Nick is a much more buttoned up, he's trying to live a quote-unquote normal life as much as a vampire can, and Tree is the main source of entertainment. He's kind of more of the comedic end to it. He is much more relaxed, he's always hitting on chicks, he's always trying to pick them up, he's always willing to blow the money on his next scheme, usually very bad investments. And some of the best artwork, and I really enjoyed the artwork in this issue, was going over some of these past schemes. Like the Hindenburg is one, and in front of the famous line, "Oh, the humanity," he just says, well, maybe it's not that bad. But he just has a string of these bad investments. That's really funny, but the humor is there. And there's a direct quote from my review. The humor is there, but not intensely laughing in public enough to carry the plotting pace. The friends butting heads routine can only help so much without emotional investment in the characters. It's funny, it's humorous, but it takes such a long time. And I know they're building up the history, but this is only a 3-issue miniseries, so they have to build it up quickly. And for a first issue, they maybe took too long. So I'm interested to see the plotting and the pace for the next 2 issues. As a first issue, it manages to set the stage for larger things, especially with the mystery in the beginning, but fails to captivate within the issue itself. It really shows a lot more potential as a complete miniseries. So this is one where it may be best to wait till all 3 issues are out. It's only 3 issues, so I'm sure if everything else that's out, you can wait a little bit and grab all 3 together and read them all at once. There's a lot of potential. I do enjoy the humor, but the pace was just not there, and it may be better in a collected volume on such a short series.
Okay.
And for the full review, go ahead and look on frontdoorsgamer.com, but right off the bat, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's good, kind of okay.
Something to give it a shot anyway.
Yeah, it's not bad. I enjoyed the artwork, I enjoyed the humor, and I like the idea behind the plot and the location, just needs a little more.
Alright, well, for my review my recommendation this week, I'm going back to one of the majors. We generally try to touch on the small guys and recommend what we can out of them. This book actually for me, has gone so far up and then so far down, and now it's back up again that I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. It's Indestructible Hulk by Marvel. This happens to be issue number 10. And the reason I think that this has gotten so good again is because Mark Waid took over the writing. When the Incredible Hulk ended, and they started Indestructible, it started off fine. The first 5 or 6 issues were good, and then all of a sudden, art and writer changed, and it got bad, and I couldn't take reading it anymore.
That can make a big difference.
It's huge.
The dynamic between the artist and the
author. No, it was huge, and it just got so bad. Now that Wade's back on this, it is really picked up, and it's well written. The artwork's good in it. So I mean, for me, and I read a lot of Marvel, I read a lot of DC, but certain ones stand out more than others. This would be one of those for me. So if you haven't checked it out, this is a good arc to get on board with. I mean, Mark Waid is really good, so I think you'd enjoy it.
All right, thank you. All right, this has been issue number 28 for the Comic Station. As always, feel free to leave any comments. Let us know if we missed anything. Any of these number ones sound interesting to you. Maybe you want to actually get a full review on all of these. Let us know. Anything and everything. Again, as always, see you next week.
See you.